Welcome back to Ben's Book Club. Today we are diving into the book Master Public Speaking. Stepping up to a microphone or standing at the front of a boardroom is widely considered the absolute ultimate career accelerator. It's how we get noticed, how we persuade, and how we lead. But let's be real. For so many of us, it doesn't feel like a golden opportunity. It feels more like walking to an execution block. If your heart starts pounding and your palms get all sweaty at the mere thought of it, and you're just terrified of public speaking, well, this explainer is built entirely for you. We're breaking down Leanne Mauro's brilliant, incredibly practical 160-page manual. Now, Mauro isn't just some academic theorist typing away in an office. She's a professional actor and voice coach with 25 years of hardcore experience. And what's so great is she approaches stage fright not as this mysterious mental block you're just stuck with forever, but as a physical hurdle, one that can actually be managed using the exact same training that professional actors use right before they step into the spotlight. Okay, let's dive right in by validating exactly what you're feeling. If your hands shake, your voice quivers, or your mind just goes totally blank before you speak, you are definitely not alone. In fact, public speaking anxiety affects an estimated 75% of the population. That is huge. Surveys constantly show people ranking this fear above almost anything else. Your intense physical panic is entirely normal, and today we're going to learn exactly how to tame it. So here's our roadmap to get you from absolute panic to total confidence. We're going to cover 1. The anatomy of fear. 2. Flipping fear into fuel. 3. The physical survival kit. 4. Your structural safety net. And finally, number 5, surviving the unexpected. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the anatomy of fear, and really understanding your panic. The technical term for this is glossophobia. See, when you stand up to speak, your brain perceives a social threat, like a fear of severe judgment or a total loss of status. And in response, it triggers a massive biological fight or flight response. Those shaking hands, the sweaty palms, the sudden inability to remember your own name, they're not signs of weakness at all. They are a deeply ingrained evolutionary reaction to feeling vulnerable in front of a group. Literally, your body is preparing you to survive a predator, not give a quarterly sales update. Which brings us right to Section 2. Flipping fear into fuel and changing the narrative. You have to look at this fascinating comparison between anxiety and excitement. Mauro points out a real game changer here. Your body literally cannot tell the difference between feeling threatened and feeling ready to perform. It's true. Both states produce the exact same physical symptoms. We're talking an elevated heart rate, shallow breathing, and a massive spike in cortisol and adrenaline. The only real difference between sheer terror and absolute thrill is the story you're telling yourself in your head. So the crucial point here is how we use something called cognitive reappraisal. It sounds fancy, but it's just a proven psychological technique where you actively relabel your feelings. Instead of trying to suppress the nerves, because let's face it, that never works anyway, you re-engineer that chemical surge. When your heart starts pounding, you consciously tell yourself, I'm not terrified, I'm energized. Your body is literally giving you the fuel you need to command the room. You're taking the exact same physiological energy and just redirecting it to make yourself a much more dynamic speaker. Moving right along to Section 3, the physical survival kit, also known as the actor's tool belt. Here is where Mauro's background as a voice coach really shines. She treats your terrified body as an instrument that simply needs a little tuning. She provides this physical survival kit using somatic control techniques borrowed straight from professional actors. First up, she recommends rapid-fire vocal exercises to build resonance and shake off that nervous, tight delivery. Second, deliberate breath work. This actively lowers your immediate sense of panic. And third, adjusting your posture. Think about it. When we're scared, we physically shrink. By deliberately changing your posture to take up more space in the room, you fundamentally shift your neurological state under pressure. You're essentially tricking your brain into feeling confident by acting confident. And perhaps the absolute most powerful tool in your entire physical kit is the pause. As Mauro beautifully writes, silence isn't empty. It's the space where meaning settles. When we're terrified, we tend to rush, right? We speak a million miles an hour just to get the whole thing over with. But pausing is the most underused tool in communication. Taking a deliberate breath of silence signals massive confidence to the room. Plus, it gives your audience the vital time they actually need to absorb and feel the impact of whatever you just said. Now for Section 4, your structural safety net and avoiding the dreaded data dump. Listen. If you are terrified of your mind going completely blank, you absolutely must have a structure. A poorly structured presentation is the #1 reason speakers lose confidence mid-flow. Instead of dumping disorganized thoughts out there, you need a blueprint. Mauro offers a few great ones. There's the classic arc, which takes the audience on a journey from a strong hook through a problem and solution straight to a call to action. Then you've got the inverted pyramid. This one works perfectly for busy executives. You lead with your absolute main point first, then support it. And finally, the story spine, borrowed from improv theater, which is fantastic for building emotional resonance. Knowing your structure means you don't have to memorize every single word. It relieves immense pressure because you always know exactly where you're going next.
Let's talk about how this structure builds into your visual aids. Murrow takes a very hard stance here, and I completely agree. Visual aids must enhance the spoken message, never overshadow it. Seriously, if your audience can just read your slides without you there, then you aren't needed in the room. Remember, data without a story just doesn't move people. Relying entirely on logic and bullet points almost always fails to persuade. Personal anecdotes and well-chosen stories are hands down the absolute fastest way to build credibility and forge a real connection with your listeners.
And finally, we arrive at Section 5, surviving the unexpected and handling the absolute worst-case scenario. This is the ultimate nightmare for a terrified speaker, isn't it? What happens when things go completely off script? It's the question every nervous presenter dreads. What if you freeze up? What if the tech completely fails? What if someone in the audience is actually hostile? Well, Mauro dedicates a significant portion of her book to these high-stakes situations, offering super clear strategies for those exact moments when you feel the most vulnerable. For those exact nightmare scenarios, you need strategic responses in your back pocket. For hostile questions, Mauro teaches the bridge technique. This is where you gracefully acknowledge a tough question, validate it, and then smoothly redirect the conversation back to your core message without ever becoming defensive. And if the tech fails, well, it's all about reading the room and adjusting your tone and energy in real time. You don't panic, you pivot. Mauro states something so profound here. Improvisation is simply preparation for the unexpected. The true test of a speaker isn't whether you can flawlessly recite a memorized script like a robot. No, it's whether you have the tools to handle adversarial moments, tech failures, or even the unique, awkward challenges of keeping people engaged through a virtual web camera, all with total grace. Because you prepared structurally and physically, you now have the bandwidth to improvise when the universe inevitably throws you a curveball. So we're going to leave you with this provocative thought today. How will you use your fear as fuel next time? Think about it. The next time your heart races before a big meeting or a presentation, just remember that it isn't panic. It is pure power waiting to be harnessed. Step into the spotlight, claim your space, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode.